you moving.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is an action-adventure video game developed and released by Rockstar Games in 2018. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the third in the Red Dead series and serves as a prequel to the 2010 video game Red Dead Redemption. The game is an open-world setting allowing the player to move at their own pace as they complete missions and side quests. Missions include cutscenes and active gameplay that tell the story. The overall story of Red Dead Redemption 2 follows the Van der Linde gang, led by Dutch Van der Linde, voiced by Benjamin Davis. The members of the gang are outlaws moving from camp to camp as the law and federal agents follow them after a robbery taking place right before the beginning of the game goes bad. The gang searches for a new place to call home, trusting Dutch's often far-fetched plans, all while the encroaching collapse of the Wild West in 1899 follows them, enforcing New World Order and highlighting a disappearing way of life. Specifically, the narrative follows Arthur Morgan, voiced by Roger Clark. Arthur was taken in by the gang at 14 and essentially raised by Dutch, serving as his most trusted associate since. During the beginning of the game, Arthur betrays unwavering loyalty towards the gang with a hardened exterior as he robs, loan sharks, and even kills.
Either you got a lazy eye or lack of respect. Which is it, boy?
I ain't got no lazy eye. No respect for the likes of you.
Well, maybe when your mother's finished mourning your father, I'll keep her in black, on your behalf. You think on that, boy?
This changes when, during the latter half of the game, Arthur is diagnosed with tuberculosis and essentially given a death sentence.
You got tuberculosis.
This forces Arthur to question the gang's actions and his loyalty to Dutch. As the game continues, Arthur grapples with his own morality as he faces his mortality, questioning his past actions and working to die a better, redeemed man. Depending on whether the choices made by the player throughout the game are considered moral or not, Arthur's honor, tracked by a sliding bar on the bottom of the player's screen, moves up to high honor or down to low honor. Arthur's fate at the end of the game is based on his honor level. My analysis will discuss how the cinematic techniques, mainly lighting, music, and shot design, in the last mission of the game, entitled Red Dead Redemption, characterize Arthur Morgan and other members of the Van der Linde gang, along with how they convey the conflict between characters and the story. There are 4 possible endings to the game, depending on the player's honor level. My analysis will focus on 2 of them and how they differ depending on Arthur's honor. In this clip, Arthur is instructing members of the gang to go to safety while he prepares to go confront gang member Micah Bell, voiced by Peter Blomquist. As Arthur has just discovered, Micah has been ratting the gang out to federal agents.
What are you doing?
I gotta go have a little chat before I get much sicker.
The first clip in my analysis shows the high honor version of Arthur's final ride to camp. The lighting during this scene is golden and shining through the trees. As Arthur rides his horse, he moves through areas of shadows, created by trees and areas where light shines through them. This symbolizes Arthur's past, as there are many dark parts in which Arthur has made bad choices and hurt others. But despite that, there is still light. There is still good that shines through his past. Arthur's face is only ever lit from the side and never directly. This is because there is no direct answer as to whether those moments of good and light have made up for and redeemed the harm that he has done. The overall atmosphere is hazy, which gives the scene an almost dreamlike quality. This, accompanied by the lighting, which highlights Arthur's past, evoke feelings of nostalgia and melancholy, as the player reflects on Arthur's long and complicated journey towards redemption. This scene also uses slow motion, wide, and close-up shots. The slow motion effect creates an emotional and meditative pace, drawing attention to Arthur's quiet resignation as he too, like the player, is reflecting on his past, along with highlighting his weariness as he goes to confront his enemy, Micah. The song That's the Way It Is by Daniel Lanois accompanies Arthur on his final ride. Along with that, positive quotes from interaction Arthur has had with other characters throughout the game.
That's the way it is. You saved my life. You're a good man.
The music is triumphant and includes emotional swells that make the player feel a sense of pride and hope for Arthur as his growth as a character is apparent, being backed up by quotes from people who have pushed him to be the person he is now and those who have felt the effects of his change. The next clip is the same scene but the low honor version, adjusted to characterize Arthur as a man who has not redeemed himself in the wake of his impending death. The lighting during this scene switches from normal to black and white a couple times. The black and white lighting does the same as the golden lighting from the High Honor clip in the sense that it also forces the player to reflect on Arthur's past. Just in this scenario, the lighting reflects a life of violence and a less hopeful end, as it becomes apparent that Arthur has not and will not be redeemed. The same song, That's the Way It Is, by Daniel Lanois accompanies Arthur, but in this version it is modified to be darker and grittier.
That's the way it is.
The song is slower and more echoey, reflecting an eerie feeling onto the player. Along with the song, negative quotes from interactions in Arthur's past play.
You can't exactly beat it out of him now, can you?
Showcasing Arthur's sinister actions and lack of change. The slow motion shots in this version convey that feeling that Arthur is weighed down by his actions as he reflects on them. But it is clear he is past the point of redemption as he is aware of his approaching death. Before we continue, a little context is needed in order to understand character motivations in the next scene. In the mission before this one, entitled Our Best Selves, Arthur and the other remaining members of the Vanderlyn gang rob a train in what Dutch calls the gang's last job, and even though Arthur doubts it will truly be the gang's final job, he agrees to do it. During the mission, Arthur expresses to John Marston, who he shares a brother-like bond with as they group together in the gang, and in the wake of the gang's dismantlement has stood by Arthur, that his dying wish is to get John, his wife, and son out of the gang and into safety.
Let's get through this job and make a plan. Get the money and get the hell out of here. You, Abigail, and Jack go live your life.
During the train robbery, John Marston is shot in the shoulder and falls off the train. And instead of going back for him like Dutch said he would, he decides to leave him in an act of betrayal without Arthur's knowledge.
John! I'll get John! You protect that money! Where's John? I tried. He didn't make it.
After completion of the mission, it is discovered that John's wife Abigail had been kidnapped by federal agents, and in another act of betrayal, Dutch and Micah decide not to save her and ride back to camp. Arthur, along with gang member Sadie Adler, decide to rescue Abigail. During this rescue mission, it is revealed to Arthur by federal agent Andrew Milton that Micah had been working as a mole for the Pinkerton Detective Agency for months against the gang's back.
Micah Bell. We picked him up when you boys came back from the Caribbean, and he's been a good boy ever since.
Alright, enough yap. Arthur arrives back at the camp after his final ride, ready to confront and expose Micah to the gang. This cutscene has no variation depending on Arthur's honor, meaning it is the exact same for every playthrough for every player. The lighting in this scene represents the divide between the gang and Micah and Arthur's moral standings. Arthur is facing the sun and is lit fully by it, casting a sense of good moral standing onto him. By placing Arthur and those who stand with him into the sunlight, it becomes clear to the player that Arthur is on the side of truth and hope, with the bright lighting highlighting his sincerity and his desire to be on the side of good. In contrast to Arthur, Micah's back is to the sun and his face is cast in dark shadows, portraying him as deceitful and sinister. Micah being in the shadows aids in characterizing him as the villain, and parallels how he has literally been working in the shadows and manipulating the gang behind the scenes, as he betrayed them and routing them out to the Pinkertons. When guns are drawn, the instrumental piece, It All Makes Sense Now by Woody Jackson plays. The score is tense and adds suspense to the standoff. Then, surprisingly, John Marston, who was left for dead by Dutch, confronts him. The music elevates the scene from a simple dialogue sequence to a high-stakes climax.
Dutch. Think.
Dutch, be practical now.
Dutch!
John?
You left me! You left me to die! My boy. I didn't have a choice. John, I didn't have a choice. Left me!
During the confrontation, Dutch is literally in the middle, feeling the pressure to pick between Arthur's loyalty and warning and Micah's manipulation and bootlicking attitude. The air is hazy, which symbolizes the confusion and confliction that Dutch feels. To him, in this situation, there is no clear answer.
Now! Who amongst you is with me? And who is betraying me? Well, Javier, think for yourself.
lying. He's lying!
During this sequence, another member of the gang warns that Pinkerton agents are coming, and when they arrive, a full shootout begins. As the Pinkertons close in on Arthur and John, they decide to run through the caves to escape. This whole sequence is active gameplay. When they make it out of the cave, Arthur assures John of his family's safety, and Arthur expresses that all he wants is for John to not look back.
Thank you, brother. I want you to not look back. Like I said.
During the scene, and the one that follows, in which John and Arthur run from Micah and the Pinkertons, the lighting is very dark and the air is foggy. This emphasizes the uncertainty that Arthur and John feel as they move forward, as they can barely see what is right in front of them, let alone what the future holds. Both Arthur and John's horses are shot. As Arthur gets down and thanks his horse, the music takes a sudden shift from tense and exciting to intimate and somber.
Come on, brother. Let's go. Give me a second.
This specific moment in the score symbolizes a point of no return for Arthur. With Arthur's horse dying, the gravity of the situation intensifies, and the player is hit with the very real reality that due to his declining health, Arthur is likely to die. The player is then given the choice to help John get to safety or to return to the caves for a hidden stash of money. For my analysis, I will focus on what happens when Arthur chooses to help John to safety. After this choice is made, the music takes another shift, but this time it's determined and powerful, as it is clear Arthur is ready to sacrifice his life in order to get John to safety.
I'm coming with you. I'm gonna get you out of this bullshit if it's the last goddamn thing I do. Thank you.
After a small shootout while climbing up a mountain, Arthur expresses to John that he has gone as far as he can and instructs him to go, giving him all of his things and saying a final goodbye.
It would mean a lot to me. Please. There ain't no more time for talk. Go. Arthur. Go to your family. Arthur! Get the hell out of here and be a goddamn man. You're my brother. I know.
Arthur goes on to continue shooting Pinkertons when he is tackled by Micah. The two men get into an active gameplay fistfight, which ends with both of the men on the ground and the gun on the other side of the cliff. At this point, Arthur is holding onto his life by a thread, as he is already sick with widely progressed tuberculosis, and Micah just severely beat him. Arthur crawls for the gun in a low shot, and as he gets closer to the gun, the music builds. The low angle of Arthur crawling emphasizes his vulnerability and weakness, which contrasts how he is typically seen by the player as a very strong and capable character up until this point. This contrast draws attention to how the fight between Micah and Arthur has an unequal struggle, emphasizing Micah's evilness and cowardice for attacking a dying man. The music's suspensefulness adds to the desperation both Arthur and the player feel as he inches towards the gun, and Micah's shadow approaches in the background.
Despite my best efforts to the contrary, it turns out I've won. God damn you.
Arthur is able to get his hand on the gun when he is intercepted by Dutch stepping on him. The camera then pans from Dutch's boot up to his face slowly. This shot emphasizes the power dynamic that has always existed between Dutch and Arthur. Since he was a kid, Arthur has blindly been loyal to Dutch's request. It wasn't until Arthur's diagnosis and journey towards redemption that he began to question Dutch's moral compass. In this moment, Dutch holds all the power, with close-up shots of his face illustrating his confliction in choosing Arthur or Micah. Both men plead with Dutch to choose their side, but ultimately, after Arthur's final words, Dutch realizes his ego blinded him from seeing the reality of Micah's betrayal.
We made it. We won. Come on.
John made it. He's the only one. The rest of us... No. But I tried. In the end, I did.
Come on. Let's go. We can make it.
In a final moment of clarity and cowardice, Dutch just walks away, abandoning them both. After Dutch walks away, the scene is split into two variations depending on the player's honor level. First, I will discuss the high honor ending. Once Dutch exits, Micah also leaves, but in the opposite direction, leaving Arthur to die alone on the cliff. The close-up shot of Arthur's beaten face when Micah leaves emphasizes Arthur's look of relief and peace, now knowing Micah will not hurt him and he is free to rest. As Arthur gets up and crawls, the song Crash of Worlds by Rago de Luca begins to play, and when he leans back onto the rock, the lyrics begin. The music has a mournful, contemplative tone that establishes a mood of reflection that allows the player to look back on Arthur's life and come to peace with his death. As Arthur lays on the rock, the sun begins to rise, and while staring into the horizon, Arthur takes his last breath and dies. The sunrise bathes Arthur's face in golden lighting, highlighting the tragedy and dignity in his passing, with the sunrise symbolizing his redemption arc and a new beginning for John Marston. Arthur redeemed himself by changing the way he treated others throughout the game, and he solidifies this redemption by selflessly helping John Marston escape to a new life. This combination of melancholic music and ethereal lighting portrayed to the player that after a life full of darkness and violence, in his final moments, Arthur is at peace, and he has truly achieved redemption. Now on to the low honor ending. During both endings, the lighting for the most part is dark and gloomy, but it is noticeably grimmer in the low honor version, with the addition of rain, making the whole scene feel more bleak and instilling an even deeper sense of dread into the player. Instead of leaving after Dutch does, Micah walks over to Arthur and points a gun at him. This shot of Micah standing over Arthur pointing the gun at him once again emphasizes the unfair advantage Micah has over Arthur, further characterizing Micah as a ruthless, sadistic individual. They exchange a few words before Micah ultimately shoots Arthur in the head, laughs, and then leaves.
Damn you. Damn us both!
Then, like in the high honor version, Crash of Worlds by Rocco De Luca plays, but this time, the song is slower, with a devastating, unsettling tone. The music plays over a lengthy shot of Arthur's body, forcing the player to reflect on his abrupt and violent fate, while further underscoring the tragic nature of the situation. The bleak lighting and solemn tone of the music characterize Arthur's sacrifice in saving John as a warning to John about the consequences of an outlaw life, making it apparent to the player, while Arthur isn't evil, he has not been redeemed. Anyway, holy spoiler! Even though I did just spoil the two main endings and also that the main character of the game does die, I still highly implore you to take the time to play Red Dead Redemption. With over 150 hours of playtime, Red Dead Redemption 2 offers players a captivating and emotional story of America during the end of the Wild West era that explores themes of loyalty, betrayal, survival, honor, and of course, redemption. All of which are enhanced by its stunning graphic quality and cinematic elements that blur the lines between video game and real life.